He shared his oxygen mask with a dying alien girl. Now she's legally his mate. Lieutenant Aaron Cole had been warned that the jungles of Tau Cygni 4 weren't kind to humans, or anyone really. The air shimmered with heat and bioluminescent spores, and every breath without a filter mask felt like inhaling acid-laced pollen. But he wasn't thinking about that as he ran through the foliage, rifle clutched tight, trying to follow the faint distress beacon on his scanner. The transmission had come in garbled, in an alien dialect, but the distress tone was universal. Someone was dying out here. When he broke through the curtain of hanging vines, he froze. There, half buried under a collapsed pod and a mound of glowing moss, was a figure, slender, with indigo skin and silver hair that shimmered like static. Her breathing was shallow, ragged. Her oxygen mask was cracked down the middle, fogging with every labored exhale. An A'Lyrai, Aaron realized. The species humanity had just signed a fragile trade treaty with after 50 years of border skirmishes. He hesitated only a second. Enemy or not, she was alive, and that was all that mattered. Hey, don't move, he said, sliding down beside her. Her cat-like eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly green. She tried to speak, but her translator was shattered. The only word he caught through the static was, air. Aaron didn't think. He unclipped his own mask, pressed it over her mouth, and hit the manual oxygen override. A hiss of pure O2 filled her lungs. She gasped, her back arching, color flooding back into her cheeks. He held the mask there, switching every few breaths to take one himself. Each inhale burned his throat. Each exhale made him dizzy. But the alien girl's pulse steadied, and her eyes, no longer glassy, locked on his. Minutes later, when the rescue shuttle arrived, both of them were barely conscious. The medics dragged him aboard, still clutching the broken mask that connected them. Aaron woke 3 days later in a sterile recovery ward aboard the UHS Valkyrie. His lungs felt like sandpaper, but he was alive. The memory of her, the silver-haired alien, haunted him. He figured she'd been transferred to an alien medical facility by now. He was wrong. When the door hissed open, she was standing there. She wore a ceremonial robe of silver and violet, her wounds healed, her expression calm but unreadable. 2 A'Lyrai diplomats followed her, their long fingers clasped formally. Lieutenant Cole, said the translator drone hovering between them. By the customs of the A'Lyrai Confederation, the act of oxygen sharing, performed in a life debt context, constitutes a sacred bond of breath. Aaron frowned. A what? It is, said the alien girl softly, the highest form of lifelink. In your words, a mating bond. Aaron blinked. Wait, you mean? I married you by saving your life. Her lips curved into something like a smile. By our laws, yes. You gave me part of your breath. Your spirit mingled with mine. Our biosigns are now partially synchronized. To sever it would mean death for one or both. He sat up, coughing. That can't be serious. The diplomats inclined their heads gravely. The bond is ancient law. Our systems already recognize it. You are her legal mate, human. They called her Saren of House Vax, a diplomat's daughter and a telepathic linguist assigned to the border colony. She visited Aaron daily after that, bringing him strange fruits and trying to explain the intricacies of her people's customs. At first, he resisted. Look, I'm flattered, but this isn't practical. You don't even know me. Her silver eyes softened. Your scent was the last thing I knew before I thought I would die. You shared your essence when you could have let me perish. That is knowing in the oldest way. Aaron didn't know what to say to that. Over the next week, though, he learned more about her species' idea of knowing. Through the bond, their biosigns intertwined. Not just heartbeats, but emotions. When she was anxious, he felt his own pulse quicken. When he laughed, she seemed to breathe easier. And when she touched his hand, something warm pulsed between them, like static made of light. But the bond wasn't just romantic, it was political dynamite. The Ailairai Council accused humanity of claiming one of their nobles through primitive ritual magic. The Earth Alliance, in turn, accused the Ailairai of manipulating humans through superstition. Ambassadors argued. News feeds blared. And Aaron found himself sitting in a chamber full of alien lawyers trying to explain that he hadn't meant to propose while saving someone's life. Saren stood beside him throughout it all, calm as ever. When the council demanded proof that their bond was genuine, Saren simply reached for his hand, and his heart monitor on the table spiked in perfect sync with hers. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The council's biometrics confirmed it. Their life signs were locked. Any forced separation could kill them both. After that, things changed. The Ailairai began calling Aaron the Breathbound. Some worshipped the act as a sign of peace between species. Others whispered that he'd curse their princess. Either way, he was now part of their mythology. It wasn't until the riots on Tau Cygni broke out that the bond truly mattered. A rebel faction, furious about the human presence, targeted the diplomatic base. Explosions rocked the outer walls. Saren and Aaron were trapped in the comms tower, emergency lights flickering. She looked at him, pupils narrowing. If I die, you die. You know this. Then we both live, he said, checking his rifle. Stay behind me. But she didn't. The rebels broke through, plasma fire filling the room. Aaron fired back, dropping 3 before a bolt scorched his shoulder. Saren screamed, not just in fear but in shared pain. Through the bond, she felt it all. Snarling, she raised her hands, and for the first time, Aaron saw what an Ailairai empath could really do. The air shimmered, and the attackers collapsed, clutching their heads, overwhelmed by their own terror reflected back at them. When the silence settled, both of them were shaking. Her skin glowed faintly from the overload. You risked yourself, she whispered. Even knowing our bond would kill you, if I fell. Aaron grinned weakly. Guess that makes us even now. She leaned closer, touching her forehead to his. No. Now it makes us one. In the months that followed, peace returned, fragile, but real. The legend of the breathbound pair spread through both human and Ailairai space. Treaties were redrafted. Soldiers joked that maybe the galaxy didn't need ambassadors, just people willing to share air when it counted. Saren moved to Earth with Aaron, though she had to wear an oxygen regulator in the thicker atmosphere. They lived near the orbital base where they'd first met, their days quieter now. Sometimes she'd catch him staring at her, still trying to make sense of it all. You still don't believe in our bond, she'd tease. I believe I did something stupid, he'd say. And it somehow turned into the best thing that ever happened. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Breath of one, life of two. He kissed her forehead, feeling that familiar warmth flicker between them again, the pulse of 2 hearts beating in sync. Guess I can live with that, he murmured. And somewhere deep inside, where their spirits brushed across the invisible thread that tied them together, Saren's soft thought reached him clearly. You already are.